Okay guys, welcome back to part 3 of our advanced DCC series. We'll call this one part 3A. It's probably going to take at least a few episodes to show everything I want to show, and we're going to start installing sound decoders. And we're going to start with this guy here. This is a Kato SD70 Mac. Most folks call these Kato. I had to call him up once. I needed some parts. My wife broke one of my engines, and the guy Michael Conway answered the phone, and he answered it really fast, and he says whatever he said, and I said, "Hey, is this Kato?" He goes, "No, it's Kato." I said, "Okay, so it's Kato." Anyway, we're gonna install this guy here. It's a Digitrax DH165 K1A. It's a really lengthy name for something really simple. And we're going to install with that a Digitrax SFX004 soundbug. Now how this works, Digitrax currently makes 4 of these decoders in the series, and they're all different. Some are for Kato, some are for Athens, etc., etc. So all these chips will fit the locomotives as needed. And this part will basically snap into any one of those 4 decoders to add the sound to it. Now, if we look at Digitrax and we look at Soundtrack Tsunami, there's really good and bad about both of these. The Soundtrack Tsunami is probably overall probably the better decoder. Out of the package they sound 100% better. The Digitrax ones out of the package, they don't sound that good at all, and you almost have to have a PR3 to make them sound okay. The Tsunami ones, they're a little bit easier to program the ditch lights, and that's important to some of the modelers out there. On the bad side of the Tsunami ones, they're more expensive. I mean, this whole setup here I got between the 2 decoders was about 60 bucks. The Tsunami ones are 90 to 120 bucks, so they're more expensive. And as good as they sound, if you look at YouTube, everyone's got them, and everyone's engines sound the same. Again, with the Digitrax ones, if you have a PR3, you can make your engine sound unique. They're your own, and that's something that's important to me. It may not be important to everyone else, so that's why I go with them. They're a little bit less expensive, and I get to customize the sounds a little bit differently. If you just want to get out of the package, you may want to look at the Soundtrack Tsunamis as opposed to Digitrax. There's another YouTube user out there, Flyman JG. He's got a bunch of wonderful videos. He just did a series on installing a Tsunami decoder into an Athern. So check him out. He's got some cool videos, and he's got a good install there. So basically, to get started, I'll set this guy down so y'all can see. This is the light board that comes from the manufacturer, and there's basically 3 parts to this. The first part is the track wires, which are these 4 wires, 2 from each truck, and parts 2 and 3 basically happen at the same time. They're removing these 2 screws, and then there are the engine clamps that are basically right in here. After you pull the screws out and you pull this board up, basically they fall out at the same time. All you'll need is a Phillips screwdriver. These kind of just pull out. Just like that. These just come on up. Put them somewhere safe, because you'll need them to put the new board in. And we'll get this guy here. And like I said, as you lift these out, these 2 mounts here for the motor, they will basically come out at the same time. There we go. And off she comes. There she is. Now this decoder I mentioned earlier, its original design was for the Kato SD40-2 mid-production and the new -9 series that they have and the AC4400 series. The reason for that is they have 3 LEDs in the front. The one operates the headlight and the 2 operate the ditch lights. In the SD70 Mac, the ditch lights, number board lights, headlight, they all operate off the lead light bulb. You can still use these two, but they won't affect the ditch lights in any way. They're just basically there. But I go with this one because I can program the decoder versus the sound bug separately, and I'll show you that in a little bit, and it causes for more prototypical sound and motion. So, okay, here's the aerial view of the locomotive. As you can see, the screws are in, the leads from the motor are in, track wires are in, and this part here is where the sound bug decoder portion is going to plug into a little bit later. Okay, let's give it a little bit of a bench test. There she is on the test track, and just a little preview. This is the out there and ready to roll SD40, and here's the appropriate out there and sound bug I was telling you about. They have 4 in the series. Here's the other one. So that's one we'll do a little bit later. But there's the Kato. It's on the test track. Default address is 3. So I have that in there. We'll light. Direction seems to work good. Speed step 1 and 2. All the way up. Seems to work really, really smooth. That's what we want. Okay, what I've done is I've programmed CV value 3 and CV value 4 to 75 on each of those. That controls the momentum when accelerating and decelerating of a locomotive. And the reason why I did that before I put the rest of the sound bug in, because when I hit the throttle, it's going to take a moment for the locomotive to start up and be more prototypical. Now the higher that number, the slower it's going to start and stop. The lower the number, it'll start and stop more quickly. So find a number that works for you. Some people like, something simpler like 35, 40, 45, 50. Being that this is an SD70, it's going to start and stop a little bit slower. And again, for a more prototypical motion. Now I just want this part of the decoder to operate the momentum. When I plug the sound part in, without the momentum CV values entered, the sound will operate more what the throttle's doing and not what the locomotive's doing. For example, it'll fire up and then the locomotive will start to roll, and then when I cut the power back, the locomotive will sound like it's going back down at idle or notch 1, but the locomotive may still be coming down to a crawl. So there you have it. There's part 3A. Part 3B is coming up soon. We'll put that sound bug in and I'll show you how that's installed. It's really, really simple. And when we put it all together, we'll put a new speaker in it so it fits better in locomotive. And then we'll put it all together and we'll have something really nice. So we'll see y'all soon.